Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another Friday edition of Mr. M Reads, and we are trying to finish up our Scooby Doo and the Frozen Giant series. We're actually on chapter 9 today. That's 9 out of 10. Oops, I just bumped the phone. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, there we go. Apologies. Okay, so we are trying to finish up our mystery again. We are chapter 9 today. It's going to be paragraph 46. And I know you're probably looking at the screen and you're like, wow, who is this guy? He looks totally different than anyone else that has been reading to me past couple months. And I was lucky enough to find someone to cut my hair. So this is the new look. All right, I'm going to get into the story. Whew. So first, we have to figure out a way to get the giant to come out of hiding again, Fred said. If we can get it to follow us into town, we can trap it. Now, if you remember, they were sitting outside the giant's cave thinking of a way to trap him in his own icy chamber. Wrap it? Scooby asked. He was munching on a piece of salty ice from the giant's cage. Everyone was looking at him strangely. Right, it's rummy. Shaggy leaned over and took a lick. You're right, Scoob, it is yummy, like salty ice cream, but it would taste even better with a nice hot cup of chili. His tummy grumbled, echoing through the cave. Speaking of which, I'm getting pretty chilly in here. Scooby, Shaggy, if we can get the giant to follow us into town, we need you to run straight for the pirate ship, Fred instructed. He led the gang out of the cave and into the forest again. Shaggy crunched on a piece of frozen ice. Like, I hope you're going to tell me there's a 4-course meal set up in that ice boat, because that's the only place I'm running... Oh, sorry, because the only place I'm running is away from the giant and toward my next meal. Rah, Scooby agreed. Will you help us trap the giant if I give you a Scooby snack? Velma offered. Scooby set down his ice. Ruby rack? He thought for a moment. Wrong. How about 2 Scooby snacks? Velma said. Rope? Scooby said, shaking his head. Sabrina suddenly spoke up. What if I promise to fill my ice castle with Scooby snacks? You can eat them all. Scooby jumped up and down. Okay. Like, what's in it for me? Shaggy asked. If we solve this mystery and make the giant go away, the ice carnival will be back on again, Daphne said. Nora nodded. That means we'll have the ice cream eating contest tomorrow. Shaggy and Scooby high-fived. I guess we just need to get that giant to come out of hiding, Fred said, adjusting his scarf. He put his hand over his eyes and peered through the forest. How on earth are we going to do that? Guys, Shaggy said, like, I think it's not going to be a problem. Look. Everyone turned. The frozen giant was charging through the forest. It was headed straight toward them. Ruh-roh, Scooby whimpered. Let's run. Like, again, and Shaggy cried. He waved his arms in the air and jogged around in circles. Follow me, everyone. Nora began to hustle through the woods the other way. I know the way back to town. Scooby's tongue was out, and he panted as they flew through the forest. After a few moments, Nora and the gang could see the edge of town up ahead. They were almost there, but the giant was right on their heels and closing in fast. Are you ready to run for the pirate ship, guys? Fred asked. As ready as I'll ever be, Shaggy answered. The group ran down the town's main street. Shaggy and Scooby leaped through the door of the icy pirate ship. They jumped up onto the deck and put as much distance between them and the giant as possible. The giant was close enough that it could reach one hand out and touch them. It stormed into the pirate ship behind them. Just then, Fred dropped the ship's fishing net straight onto the giant. It was trapped like a huge fish on a frozen sea. The beast thrashed inside the net. The giant reached one hand through the net to grab Scooby's tail. Shaggy and Scooby slipped out of the boat through a porthole. The giant was still caught inside. But as the two buddies ran for safety, the giant shook free of the net. Now it was really angry. It started after them. Shaggy ran toward a snowplow that was parked at the edge of the town square. Like, let's hide in here, Scoob. The giant was just a few steps behind them. That's when Scooby noticed the keys were in the snowplow. Rook! Not now, old pal, Shaggy said nervously. I don't think it's a good time for a joyride in a snowplow, if you know what I mean. Scooby pointed to the giant and then to the big shovel on the front of the snowplow. Oh, Shaggy said, realizing what Scooby was trying to tell him. Scoob, you're a genius. We can shovel up the giant. Rest, Scooby cried. Shaggy turned the snowplow on, and it roared toward the frozen giant. As they drove through the square, the plow's front shovel filled with snow. The giant realized what was happening a few seconds too late. The plow reached down and scooped the giant up. And then there's a picture of our snowplow and our giant. And I believe that is the end of chapter 9. So we are going to have our glorious conclusion next week in chapter 10. And then I think the couple of weeks after that, I will probably just continue on with another Scooby-Doo story. I think there's another one kind of tied into the back of this, because this is mystery number 2, so we'll probably move into mystery number 3, which I think has something to do with pirates. So thank you all for tuning in and following along. I hope everyone stays happy and healthy, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks, guys.